Yeah, good wrap up the season with those two good road wins. Obviously at Abilene first and a half where we made 10 threes and just really had it going offensively. And over the last half of the year, we've shot it much better from three. So we're just shooting, playing with confidence on the offensive end. And then we didn't have to score necessarily as much in the second half, at least not from three. But again, solid defensively against a team in Abilene that can really score it and can get going from three, but we just limited them from distance, which was obviously the game plan. And then going into the rivalry with Sam, always a rival game, regardless of records. Wanted to make sure we had our kids' attention for the most part. We did. And played good the first 5-6 minutes, and then just okay for about 12 to 15 minutes, and then that third quarter really got them and distanced ourselves there. Solid way to end it. Obviously finished at 24-5, 16-2 in the league. If you would have given me that in October, I would have taken that in a heartbeat. I guess I would have thought 16-2 probably would have won the regular season conference championship if we would have known that. But nonetheless, solid year. Really proud of our group. But at the same time, we want some unsettled or unfinished business approach coming into the conference tournament as we move forward.
You talked about that 16-2. I mean, that's the best conference finish for the team since the 2001-2002 season. Talk a little bit about what that means for you as a coach, and then what it means for your team as you're looking to prepare for the tournament.
Well, it's hard. I mean, when you play 18, it's a long season. It's 18 games. It stretches over, over 2 months probably. And so consistency comes to mind. If you go 16-2, obviously we beat everybody but Lamar. But you got to do something right to go, protect your home court, obviously, and then go on the road and win. And win league games is difficult. Like I said, I'm really proud of the group. We've come a long way since October, November when the season started. And then a lot happens here in a real quick. You play this long schedule, and then we'll play Saturday at 3:30, and if we're fortunate enough to win, you play at noon the next day. So it's a long season, and then a lot of it gets defined within a 24-hour time frame. So it's getting them as prepared for possible this week when we don't know who we're going to play. And then obviously figure some things out that define a lot of our season, and it's been a great season up to date, which I guess was your question, but a lot of it gets defined too by what happens here this week.
Were you surprised, kind of reflecting on the season, would you have been surprised if you were asked in November that, today you might consider defense to be the strength of your team, as young as it is and as many new pieces as there are from last year?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I hate to say yes, but maybe in a way. I thought we probably had the capability of being a pretty good defensive team, but I really didn't know that. I didn't know that we would turn people over, and I didn't know that we would, allow those turnovers to get to the free throw line. We had Ross in there last year that just got to the free throw line so much, but a lot of that, of getting to the free throw line, had to do with our defense and the turnovers we've created. But then I thought we've been able to play multiple ways too when we weren't turning people over. The other night I think at Sam we didn't even have a steal at halftime. And then still found ways to defend. And so I think we can do it multiple ways, but I think at this time of year you have to be able to do that. And maybe not even this time of year, throughout the season, night in and night out, you got to be able to play multiple ways, and we've been able to hang our hat on that.
Going into a tournament setting, knowing that tired legs mean, inefficiency with jump shooting, is that something that you need to rely on this week? I mean, can you not depend necessarily on the scoring?
Well, yeah, I think you always have to be careful that it takes one bad shooting night to eliminate you in any postseason. So you got to be able to defend, and again, in different ways. Our goal though is to see if we, and I don't know that we're just going to completely get legs back, but when we now don't have to play until Saturday, we have some options to make sure we're rested, and that's the goal. Keep that that same fire and that same passion about you. To motivate you, but I want to be fresh, and I want their legs, and I want that physical and that mental refreshness, if you will, to kind of set here the next couple days, and then maybe on Wednesday we kind of start getting back to that identity a little bit, while everybody else is playing or practicing hard for their next opponent. We don't know who we're going to play, so it's just on us to kind of keep preparing. But it'll be a grind, and that's okay. But if you got legs, you can always play defense. You got the right mindset.
You saw both these teams recently, the two possible matchups. I mean, at some point, can you kind of prepare for both of them over a week?
Yeah, I mean, and I guess we'll really kind of prepare for all three of them, and I don't even remember which coaches we'll meet here in just as soon as I get done to go over all the scouts and all of that. But, when you're talking about Central Arkansas, Abilene, or UNO, that would be the one we haven't seen as recently. And UNO, beat Abilene and beat Central. Central obviously has been here and done this before. But the Abilene Central Scouts, from a familiarity, are a little easier. New Orleans will have to go back and kind of watch a little bit more, so we'll get on them too, and just day by day. But you got to take 7 different folders because you don't know who you're going. You just really don't know how you're going to match up. So I have to take a whole other briefcase of just all my scouting reports of 7 different teams for this one, which is a little weird. But we'll be prepared.
Obviously, getting rest for a whole week off between games from Saturday to Saturday is a big deal. You get a week off to get your players ready. But are you concerned at all that puts too much rust on them when you don't get that midweek game now?
No, really, you're not. I mean, there is that concern, but no, I think it's so far. It outweighs it with the bye, and while everybody else is playing, or the potential to have a bad night and not play well. While we don't even have that. We have to rest and stay sharp is what we will be worried about while they're trying to fight and just to move on. So I know from a year ago we had the single bye, and I know when we got to that conference tournament final on that quick turnaround the second half, we just probably ran out of gas. And so I know what it meant when we get to that point. Now I do think on Saturday, maybe through that first quarter, when we're amped and whomever we play has already played a game, that might be a little advantage for them. After about the first quarter, though, maybe even the first 5 minutes, now you're just playing basketball, so we should be good.
Okay. In years past, the women always seem to do good regular season. They get to Katy and they just hit one stumbling block or another each year. What is it about the Southland tournament that can throw a team off? It's like the Lady Jacks, who are considered favorites almost all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, and I haven't been here that long, and I know we haven't been, in 12 or 13 years now, I know, to the NCAA tournament, so I know we haven't won it in that long. Obviously, I haven't been there through that stretch. I can speak on the 3 years I've been here. I thought we've taken the steps to prepare us to win a conference tournament. My first year we got there, we finished 18-12, had a good year. Last year, obviously, took the huge step and got the single bye and made it to the conference tournament final, which is a natural progression, and now here we are as the 2 seed, and I don't know what's going to happen, but you hope you've taken the steps that if we get into that conference tournament final again, we're a little more prepared, not quite as tired with that double bye, and then we're moving on, and you're not even asking me that question. So I guess let's talk again in a week and see how this plays out. But I haven't been here long enough to know that our players don't know anything about that. They haven't been here that long. I'll leave it to you guys to talk about history and all those types of things from 12, 13 years ago. But our kids, we couldn't even name a player that played on that team. And so we'll be excited to play on Saturday at 3:30. I know that, and then we'll figure out Sunday if we're fortunate enough to advance.
How much does your experience playing in tournaments at Division II level carry over here?
Well, I hope. I mean, for me, I've been through this a ton. You just hope I can get the information to the players. And really, it's not that. It's do what you do and do it well on that night. I think you have to be careful that teams get into these situations and players start to do things that they haven't done the entire season. But we've done good stuff to get us here, so don't change that now. There just becomes an emphasis on possession by possession, I think, and every possession just has its own identity in the postseason, and whether that's offense or defense. If it's the shot you take, it better be a good shot. If it's the defensive stop, you've got to be locked in to scatter report and rebounding and diving on the floor for loose balls and the 50-50 opportunities. So that's really what it comes down to, and hopefully our kids from the IQ side of things and scatter report can be really, really locked in.
All right, thanks a lot, Coach. Appreciate your time.
All right, thanks, guys.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you can look around probably other great leagues in America, SEC. I don't know who the 3 is there, maybe Florida or somebody like that, or Arkansas or Big 12. Who's the 3 seed in theirs? I haven't really looked at the conference tournaments, but I know there's some other good leagues that have good teams in it. ACC would be Carolina. But I think I like our chances. I mean, we have a unique tournament that which is great. Where teams, I think we may be the only one that gets a double bye. So we're the champion, and I'm great for rewarding the teams that finish first and second. But we're the true champion didn't have to win 3 games, and I have no problems with that, with rewarding the first and second place teams getting the double bye. So our guys would rather play than practice. But I think we have a good team. I mean, after 10 weeks, we were 1 game out of first place. We stubbed our toe a couple of times, and but I'm proud of what we did. 25 wins. I think there's only 4 or 5 teams in the conference that have ever done that before, and so I think we've had a really good year so far.
Leon Gilmore March numbers when compared to his, November through February stuff. November through February, he's sitting about 8 points, 9 points a game. March, he goes to 13.5. You shoot 60% from the field. What is it about him in March that kind of go hand in hand for SFA?
I don't know. I wish we could bottle it up. It's a great question about Leon playing so good, and as the weather gets warmer, maybe when he thinks about playing professionally, he should play in South America or someplace like that. The shorts come out, he starts playing better. But he sure is playing good. Whatever he's doing, I told him, whatever you're doing, don't change, because he played good at this time last year. I just think he's a winner. He's a selfless guy, and as seniors, I told those seniors again last night, they have to will our team to victory right now, and we can't afford a day where somebody's not right. We can't be we can't be that fern in the house that you have to keep the temperature at 72 degrees and water it every day and make sure it's coddled and feels good, and that house dog, and feed it, and take it outside to go use the restroom. We've got to be the cactus that doesn't need any water, that they're just going to play and grow regardless. To me, that's what we have to be right now.
You look around the country at the one-bid leagues, the Horizon, the MAC, the guys already playing right now in their conference tournaments. It seems like being a high seed almost makes you the underdog. Is there an explanation for why it's so difficult to win games in a conference tournament, even after finishing 13-4 or whatever their records are?
The only thing I could think of, and I don't know, this is really new to me. Honestly, last year was my first year, and this year's again. But I know I've coached differently this year a little bit, in that I've tried to keep our guys fresher this time of the year, and that we're playing our best basketball this time of the year to win games in Katy. And I think our legs are a lot fresher this year versus they were last year, and versus just grinding. So our guys are prepared. I think maybe, I can't speak for any other team, but I think sometimes when you accomplish a goal you set for yourself, you maybe relax, kind of like maybe what we did at Southeastern, where we went from the 100 to the 100, and they accomplished something, they celebrated. So in life, you relax, you take a deep breath and exhale. And so a lot of teams exhale, and you got to keep your edge. We've celebrated a few times this year, November, December, and you should. Season's 7-8 months. A conference is 10-11 weeks. It's a long season. If you don't celebrate and enjoy it, you have no chance. But those snakes are always crawling around you while you're sleeping, and they're always going to choke you while you're laying in bed sleeping. And our guys definitely have an edge about us, because all we've talked about all year long is Katy. No disrespect, or win the regular season championship, because we wanted to accomplish that too. And I'm not trying to minimize that at all. But we know we're judged on how we do in Katy. And I think we've done well as far as everything else goes. I'm really proud, and I hope our fans and the people around here are proud of what this team's accomplished. 25 wins, 17th best record in college basketball right now. Lead the nation in 2 or 3 different categories. I mean, this team's done a lot. They should be really proud of what this team's been able to accomplish so far. But we also know where everything stands. We also know how we get judged on around here. But I think this team should be applauded for what they've done so far.
Is there a team you'd rather see on Thursday between the two, Lamar, UCA, or is it we'll just take whoever?
Yeah, I've said this before, and the opponent is us. Whoever the other team is in the dark colored jersey is that first night is who it is. Both those teams have beaten us, so we know they're capable. We know anybody in our league's capable of beating us. The opponent is us. It'll be a great tournament. Hopefully it'll be really heavily attended. I know our fans will show up. They've proven that time after time. We have, to me, some of the best fans in America. Just it rivals our ranking for sure. They're so loyal, and so grateful for them. I mean, what a great crowd we had Saturday night, and but I think that the league from 1 through 7 or 8, is really good. It's so much better than what I ever thought it would be, to be honest with you. I'm shocked at how good this league is.
Coach, you said that you've said that several times this year about how good this league is, and y'all said that last week on senior night here, and Ty agreed with you from his time before with Underwood here. How has the league improved? Where have they improved, and what does that just say about the play? Because I'm sure SFA had part to do with that, with other teams trying to get better to beat them.
Well, I think I hate to say this, but I don't hate to say it, but I think it all started with Danny Casper, and as his teams grew and his teams are as tough as his teams were, I think it started there. And then when Coach Underwood came in here, you see a lot of teams try to play like these teams here at SFA. Imitation is the greatest form of flattery. You see a lot of teams try to deny, and you see some teams running some of Brad's version of his offense. And, we tell our team all the time when teams try to do some of the things that we do, that's a great form of a compliment for our guys. And I think because of the success that SFA's had, everybody's had to raise their level, or you get left behind the dust. And that's what teams have done. Coaches have done it. Pro schools have made a better commitment to it. You see it, new practice gyms, new locker rooms, new facilities going on all around our conference, and it's great. It's great for our league. It's great for me. It's great for the program, and because we just want it. I think some stat out there like top 200 RPI or something like that. We had more teams this year, I think. Ken Pong that we've ever had, and I mean, it's the proof's in the pudding. I mean, it's just getting better.
Is that I guess that just shows how hard it is, though, to win the conference tournament here. Where before it was, SFA's going to be there. Now, like you said, people think the sky's falling around here because you get 4 losses. It just shows how hard it is. Yeah.
Because we got 4 losses?
Read the message boards, I guess.
Oh, I don't know. My computer, my phone is my computer, so I didn't know the sky was falling. God, so we shouldn't play this week then?
I'm not saying that.
The sky's falling. We guess we should just quit. My guys won't quit, though. Trust me. They're really proud of themselves. I mean, God, I would hope our fans haven't quit on us. I think they should be really proud. The ones that showed up to Saturday night were great. I would think that 99% of our fans are really proud of what our team has done, and they sure have shown us great support and love, and we appreciate them so much, and they've been so wonderful to our players and my family and myself. And when you get turnover on a roster like we've had since we've been here and start all over, I couldn't be prouder of these new kids that we have in here in the last year or 2 years, and taking over and finished basically second place 2 years in a row. Yeah, it's frustrating. You don't win a regular season, but we got another week to go and see what happens. And like Isaac's talking about, all the best teams in a lot of these one big leagues, it happens. You can't let your guys feel the pressure. You have to keep them loose. You can't let them change their daily routine, what's allowed them to be successful. You got to keep them confident, but with a sense of urgency, but not tight. And otherwise, they'll be thinking about every shot and those kind of things. You just got to relax, go play with a sense of urgency. Because you lose again, you're out.
You mentioned this on a Saturday night that it hasn't been done since the double bye was instituted, that a team went to the NCAA tournament and without that double bye. And you mentioned trying to be that first team.
Somebody's got to be first.
How much does your deep rotation, which is deeper than you'd expect at this stage in a team, help you play 3 games in 3 nights and stay relatively?
Isaac, that's a great question. I think how many guys we play, how fresh we are, is a total benefit to us. We're not relying on 6 or 7 guys to help us win. I mean, we play 10 guys, and I'm very confident in all 10 of them. And I think we can go out there and play 5 days in a row. I don't think that Connecticut, when they had Kimball Walker, they were concerned about playing 5 days in a row and getting in the NCAA tournament, then playing for a national round, winning a national championship, when they had to fight to get in the NCAA tournament. And so, kids play multiple AAU teams, multiple AAU games in a day. They're used to it. Trust me, our kids would rather play than practice. And they're trained up enough right now to where practice can be really boring. And if you don't do something unique, you don't challenge their minds, you don't allow them to grow. So we've tried to add a few things. We hadn't shown it yet, but we've got a few things in our bag we hadn't pulled out yet that guys might see this week for the first time. But I think as we get into this week, which is these 3 weeks, senior night, conference tournament, and postseason play are the best times of the year. And our guys just have to remain loose and confident and do what they've done. They've accomplished a lot. Nobody thought we could ever beat an SEC team. God dang, we did. We should have beat them back-to-back. Went over to La Tech when they were 84-4, and they had their whole team and beat them. This team has risen up to a lot of challenges. Somebody's got to be first to do a lot of that stuff. Why shouldn't this team? We were trying to create our own legacy. We're tired of living and we've lived off those other guys for a long time around here. These guys, and I'm grateful for it, what they've done. But this group of guys need to create their own legacy. Anyway, it's time for us to create a legacy around here as well. Because it's hard here, living in the shadows of what has been done around here. Those guys look at it and see it, and they should embrace it. But you can get caught up in it too. And you got to create your own a little bit too, where you can feel some ownership about it.
As far as the first 5 minutes, I mean, it's been a fast start for you guys as of late. You place more importance on that here this week. Just giving the opportunity, season that starting fast.
Absolutely, because I think if you can get ahead of teams right now, teams are going to feel a little pressure. Playing from behind is hard to do, and if you guys can draw up some plays where Gilmore's going to make 4 threes again, I'd love to have those, or it could be Holyfield or whomever. That makes the game a lot easier. But Charlie, you're exactly right. The team usually that gets ahead has a chance to stay ahead, regardless who it is, just because teams get tight. They get, rarely, whoever can put the most pressure on an opponent in postseason play is a team that's usually going to win the game. And you can do that a lot of different ways, playing from behind and pressuring and pressing, when you do get down. We've got, like I said, a core group of guys I don't think that'll get rattled. I got a lot of faith in them. We're built for this.
Coach, you talk about your rotation, being able to play 10 guys, and some people might, I'm not going to say fans are questioning you on this, so don't take it that way, but
No.
you see Shannon come off the bench. Shannon, you could easily argue, could be a starter here, but you just bring him in off the bench, and it seems to be that spark that just keeps it going. How beneficial for you is that to have a guy like Bogues coming off the bench?
Oh, it's great. No, I think it's great. I think Shannon plays maybe the third or fourth most minutes on our team. Our guys don't care who starts. Shannon actually prefers to come off the bench. And, I'm not into – I watch a couple different TV channels. ESPN's one of them. Bravo Network, when I want to take my mind off sports, is another one. I'm a big Housewives guy myself. I can lose myself in those shows. But, when at the end of the Sports Center every night, they have a great clip, I think, the top 10. And I may have made not top 10 with my fall the other day on Friday. But there's one clip that you never see on there on top 10, and that's the jump ball. I've never seen a jump ball on top 10. So starting has zero to do with winning the game, but who finishes has everything to do with who wins the game and how many minutes you play. And our guys understand that, because as long as they play for Stephen F. Austin and play for each other, starting the game has zero to do with it.
Well, our goals never change. Our goals are always the same every year, and that's to win a conference championship on the men's side and the women's side. We did not do that, but going into the meet, honestly, we had no idea where we would stack up. We really didn't, and I won't go into the reasons why, but we had quite a few people on the sideline for one reason or the other. But when they got to the meet and our team competed, it was absolutely the best meet that we've had all year. And they finally came together as a team, competed extraordinarily well. And my question to them after the meet was over, and while praising them, was, why didn't we do this sooner? Why couldn't we put this together early on? But that was the only negative. We had a lot of people step up. We had a lot of people who really went past their effort that they put through earlier in the year and the season before. So Coach Lonnie put it a great way. Couldn't said it any better, that he's never felt so good about losing in his whole life. So I second that for sure. So as we move forward, I spent the entire weekend, the next 4 days, sitting, thinking, typing, getting my thoughts on paper, and we came back the next Tuesday, met as a team at about 9 o'clock at night, spoke very pointedly, very with some observations that I made with regards to our team and what we need to do better, and that's in every phase of our program and outside of our program. And I think everybody in the room, we all understand where we are right now and the direction that we need to head in the next 9 weeks to championship time. And I felt really, really good about it. And I think our team did as well. So we're in a good spot. We're in a good place.
The NCAA indoors take place this weekend, and with Antonio Ruiz having made the cut, he'll be there representing SFA. Talk a little bit about the season that he's had in the pole vault and culminating with his win at the championships.
Well, Antonio is a super competitive guy who's a great athlete. If he had one Achilles heel, so to speak, pardon the pun, is he has issues with lower leg problems, and he certainly had that in the early part of the winter. And when we got to the indoor season, he just needed some meets to put together to where he could kind of build upon the previous week. So he had some opportunities. A guy like that, you're going to give him every opportunity in the world to be successful. So the weekend that we got back from New Mexico, he was sent right back out the week later to compete there, even though that was not on our schedule. And then the week after that, he went to Texas A&M. And I believe firmly, strongly, that really helped him gather his confidence he needed in order to jump what he jumped at the conference meet to not only win, but also put himself in position to make it to the NCAA championship. So we're ecstatic about Antonio. He's been great, man. That guy really works his tail off. He's an engineering student, and so his mind is always at work trying to be a better student and a better pole vaulter. So it's exciting for SFA, for this community, and Antonio's family has been very supportive and for our program.
You mentioned the bodies on the sidelines in the indoor championships. I mean, is there an opportunity here over the next couple of months to get some of those people back by the time you compete in the outdoor?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we have close to 120 kids on our team, men and women. And I opened it right up at the team meeting and said, look, every position, every spot is open. I mean, we're allowed to take 28 individuals to a conference meet indoors, 32 outdoors. And, one perfect example was the men's pole vault. 15 feet scored in the men's pole vault at the conference meet. And, we had about 4 guys sitting at home that could have been a part of that. And for one reason or another, our second best pole vaulter, Chad Horseman, after Antonio, he had an Achilles issue or a foot issue and couldn't make it. Well, I talked to these guys afterwards and said, guys, it's wide open. Who are we going to take? And if we continue not to get healthy, if we continue to have problems in that area, then that's going to be a problem. But I think that we've got some steps that we've taken to rectify that situation. But again, whoever's ready, we're going to take those people. Nobody gets to go because they're a senior. Nobody gets to go because they're great kids. They get to go if they're competitive, and we're ready to put them in uniform. We take our jobs very, very seriously, as you might imagine. So.
Is it safe to say, if you consider the results of the meets leading up to the indoor championships, that you guys overachieved?
Oh yeah, I mean we were pretty solid coming out at the first meet at Texas A&M. We were terrible when we went out to Lubbock, and kids know that, so it's no surprise. We got a little bit better, and going to New Mexico, that kind of elevated, whether it was the elevation or the intensity level. We had a good meet there. We had an even better meet at Houston, and so we were hoping that we could put three together. And was it a surprise in some respects? But it was a great, I felt victory inside my heart and in my mind, and even though it didn't look that way on paper. And what I did is I went back and I compared last year, what happened last year. Last year we were third on the men, second on the men, fourth on the women, and about the same. We scored about the same number of points last year. Sam Houston scored the same number of points last year indoors. And then what did we do outdoors? Our men came back and scored 180 points, just barely missed winning a championship. If you score 180 points at the outdoor championship, you're going to win most of the time. Our women were fourth, and they came back outdoors and won a championship, beat Sam Houston by 2 or 3 points. So if we put that in perspective for our team, then they know what they got to do, and nothing's unachievable if you put your heart and your soul into it, and that's what we asked them to do. So we're moving forward in a positive way. From the moment we had that meeting to the end of the year, we're not going backwards at all. It's going to be like a steamroller moving forward. That's all we're going to do.
Now looking ahead to the conference or the outdoor season, what are some meets and dates that you guys might have circle on a calendar as coaches? You know, meets that you guys have performed well in the past, meets that have good facilities, stuff like that. Meets that you're excited about.
Well, I think every meet on the schedule is going to be very interesting. You know, TCU is a good meet to start off for our team. The weather is usually pretty good. It's windy, which can be a little bit of a problem. And then we go to UT San Antonio, and that's going to be an incredibly competitive meet. And then we go to Texas Relays, and Texas Relays is fun just from the standpoint of competing in front of a crowd, competing in front of kids that we're recruiting, and it's a showcase. It's an opportunity to showcase. So that's an elite level of kids that we have going. Then we come back to our home meet. We expect a big, large number of teams to come, very competitive again. And then we go back to Texas. Then we go to Mount Sac. We go to Baylor, and Baylor is going to be a monster meet. And then we get to have a short break at the end of April, and then come back with a conference meet at Incarnate Word. So every meet's going to be fun. Every meet is going to be a challenge for our team, but I think they're up to the challenge.
Okay. Appreciate you taking
All
the
right.
time to talk to us.
Thank y'all.
Coach.
Appreciate you guys very much.
Well, number one, we got to get healthy. We had another starter go down this week. When you have 4 starters at the beginning of the spring semester, and now effectively you're down to one of those guys, and that guy himself is kind of banged up. It's just been a whirlwind of injuries for us, and that's been the main thing. Is we've had to ask more of our guys than what they expected, I think, and what we expected. So it's a situation where those guys are doing everything they can. They just weren't set up for the roles that they're having to play right now, and so we're having a lot of growing pains right now.
Sure. And just, in your experience and, for your expectations, how long does it take, certain players does it depend on the person to kind of get that mindset right from person to person and just elevate themselves, just day to day, really?
Yeah, I think it's something that we're going to have to look to. We have to expedite the process. These guys who kind of felt like, they can kind of get their feet wet and kind of learn their role and that kind of stuff. That's kind of all been turned upside down. Those guys are going to have to really, own up to what we're trying to do. They're going to have to rise to the occasion. All the things the phrases you can say. It's their time now. So they're gonna have to really start coming ready every day. They're gonna have to prepare themselves for different roles. We may have some guys who go from relievers to starters. I don't know, but the main thing is we have to find guys who can consistently go out and throw strikes, and we have to find guys who can consistently go out and give our defense a chance.
Sure. Well, you come home starting this week, and this starts the stretch of 7 in a row at home for you. Especially after the weather kind of washed out things. How good does it feel to kind of be home after 10 games on the road for the first month and a half of the season here?
I think that's something that we're looking forward to. Sleeping in your own bed, playing on your own field, that kind of stuff. I think that will help us in maybe putting forth a better product on the field. It's got to, because if it doesn't, then we're going to find ourselves rolling in the conference and not really be ready to compete.
Sure. Texas Southern first, and then 3-game series with old friend Matt Collins and Louisiana Monroe. Who's having a pretty good year to start off with in their own right. What kind of challenges do those two teams present here? Early on in the season.
Well, I think Texas Southern, if we don't show up with an ability to throw strikes, if we don't show up with the ability to defend, if we don't control the running game, then they're athletic enough and they'll make it very difficult for us moving forward to try to win that game. With ULM, anytime there's a coaching change, there's a little bit of new blood, some rejuvenation there. I think those guys at this point have been playing really well. They feel like they kind of have a new lease on life. And for us to play them, especially with Coach Collins knowing us so well, we're going to have to really, really pay attention to what we do well. And once again, we're going to have to be able to throw strikes and give our defense a chance. If we walk those guys and give them more opportunities and make errors and give them extra shots at scoring runs, then we're going to find ourselves in familiar territory.
When you look at your lineup too, it's been some of those new guys. Obviously, Black and Martin have been two big pieces. As far as their mindset goes, is it just go out there every day, produce, and make sure to keep the team on their shoulders with their production, really, or if they just kind of hitting the hot streak at the right time here to start the season?
Those guys are doing a good job. We've asked a lot of them. Those guys, I think, in some situations, if we can just keep them from putting too much pressure on themselves, and instead of them thinking that they have to shoulder, the team, shoulder the offense, I think they're going to be okay. I think it's very, very imperative for the guys around those guys to start hitting. I think Nick Daly's done a good job at the top of the order. Martin's done a good job. Black's done a good job. But we're going to have to find some complementary hitters around those guys to step up and start being better Division I hitters. In particular, seniors who've played at this level for 2, some 4 years, have got to do a better job of becoming offensively productive. If we don't get that offensive production, then we put a lot more pressure on an already, pressure-packed pitching staff.
Seth and Jake okay as far as, injury stuff goes. Obviously Seth had the elbow there, and he tried again, and he used to go out there for that third inning. It just wasn't working for him. What's their status?
We're going to reevaluate those guys' arms this week. Hopefully we can get those guys through it and get them on the field as soon as possible. I mean, what you don't want to do is you don't want to put them back out there and risk, serious damage. But at the same time, I think if we don't have those guys somewhere in the mix in the next couple of weeks, it's going to be very, very difficult for us to win games moving forward. All right, man. Thank you, brother.
A little bit, we do. There's just that in those heat of the moment, tough situations, you have to just trust the process and fall back on your training and what we've been doing on practice and try to execute and actually believe and feel like you're gonna get the next one even if you don't get that one, and that's tough for a young group. I mean, we can continue to make excuses and rationalize it to ourselves, or we can just keep working at it. I mean, in one regard, I'm worried because it's that the same issues keep popping up, and we got to find those solutions. But in another regard, I watch our process. I know how we're training. I know what our attitude's like. The fight's incredible. I mean, so I'm not worried at all from that regard. So we just have to get one and get one under our belt and keep pushing forward and feel like things are going to turn around and go our way. So there's no magical formula. We just have to get 4 people to play well together and get to 4 one day and then feel what that's like and repeat it. It's pretty simple, really.
You go on the road this weekend against Nichols and McNeese. McNeese kind of traditionally on the stronger end for tennis here over the past couple of years, and what kind of challenges do both of those teams present here? through their lineup, 1 through 6?
Yeah, Nichols has some renewed energy. They got a win over Southern Miss this previous week, and so they've got a few wins under their belt, and they're going to be at home defending their home turf and feel like they have a chance. I'm pretty sure we're not striking fear in them, and they're just going to compete hard, and so we've got to go down there and take one from them, and it's a good challenge on Saturday, and then turn around Sunday against McNeese. 3 seniors at the top of the lineup there, just a solid group all the way. They're a top half, maybe even a top quarter team. I mean, I think they feel like they have the talent and the experience to compete for a league title. They probably have some a little bit of revenge on their mind. We got them good here last year, one of our better wins, and so we like the challenge. I mean, it's fun. We're going to relish this situation to go on the road and see if we can't get a couple, and just continue to improve our process. So good opportunities for us, and we're looking forward to it.